Hi, everybody, and welcome to Whatever Floats Your Boat. I've decided to do a very unscheduled video today because I have the time. Today I want to do a review on The Afterwards by A.F. Harrold, a book that I've recently finished. It's a really beautiful and remarkable book, and whoever is following me on Instagram is following my stories has already seen what I said about it a little bit. But let's go through that. So plot-wise, I'm not going to drop too many spoilers because this should be, enticing to read rather than to ruin it. So the story is basically about two girls, Ember and Ness. I know the main character is called December. Exactly, they're called December and Happiness. Short, Ember and Ness. And Happiness, ironically, dies in a tragic accident. And they're two little girls who were friends and they always go to school together. And then, Happiness dies. And obviously, Ember is very saddened by that fact. And she, through her uncle, she finds a way to the afterward where she meets Happiness again. But Happiness is grey and sort of unhappy, and she's confused and she doesn't know what's going on. And then Ember tries to bring her best friend back, obviously, but then slowly and surely has to realize that you cannot bring the dead back to the living. And this is as much as I will say in terms of spoilers. But either way, it is beautifully written, really beautifully written. And I think it's very engaging as well as for children, probably 8 upwards. I think I wouldn't probably read it to a younger child. It's a chapter book. It has a few pictures in it, beautifully illustrated pictures. I really like the style, but it's also quite dark in between. So it's very... here we see Ember in the afterward and Happiness. Ember is still in colour because she's living, or she's alive, and Happiness is slowly washing out. And the story itself is somewhat gloomy, but in a very sort of hopeful approach, I think. And I think it is a great book that shows you how death works and how loss also works, how to grieve. And I mean, there are obviously situations in which children lose friends or parents or whatnot, and you have to deal with that, even if it's obviously ideal if a child doesn't have to deal with that. It also, in my opinion, has a really fantastic approach to generally the afterward, to aftermath of death. We have a mythical cat creature that's sort of leading us and guiding us through the afterward, and has some really beautiful and wonderful metaphors in it for various situations. So what I also really like, I'm trying to find that, but I'm failing to do so. Sometimes the printing or the formatting sort of, can you see that? Mimics or underlines the text that is written. And I think that's really wonderfully done. You can see it in here. So it almost looks a bit like a poem, and it underlines a feeling like loneliness, or when her stomach lurches, or for example, here we have it stepped away and vanished. And then the word vanished slowly vanishes. And I think there's one very good example where her stomach sort of, she felt a lurch in her stomach. And then you basically have it written like this, and like in a spiral. And I think that's brilliant. I mean, obviously that's not down to content, but to formatting. There's still the idea it's just what I'm going to say is it's a beautifully designed and written book. And I think it is something that really touches you. It touched me, and it made me sad, and it made me happy, made me hopeful and it made me cry. And look at this, isn't this absolutely gorgeous? I think it's beautiful. And yeah, so as I said, this is written by A.F. Harrold. I haven't read anything else by him, but I'm going to read all of his books. And there is one that I'm specifically intrigued in, and that is The Imaginary, that I'm going to read next. It says, Roger is Amanda's best friend. He doesn't exist, but nobody's perfect. And he's her, I reckon, imaginary friend. And it also says in the reviews, the kind of children's book that's the reason why adults should never stop reading children's books. Touching, exciting, and wonderful to look at. I absolutely adored this, and I cried a little bit. And I can fully back that up. Robin Stevens, who gave this review, it's just a great masterpiece from beginning to end. Yes, so what's not to love about it? So if you are looking for a great sort of children-ish book, I think it's not necessarily a children's book. I mean, it does look like a children's book, that is true, but I think it has such deep messages in it that anybody can benefit from this, really. And yeah, so go and get the Afterwards. Sorry, I always said the Afterward. It's actually called the Afterwards. Silly me. Illustrated by Emily Gravett. I want to give her some credit as well because beautiful illustrations. So yeah, that's that. Fantastic book. Not anything negative I could say, if I'm honest.